Welcome, everyone. This is Carrie Gatto with Keller Williams Realty. Today, I'm interviewing a local businesswoman, Ariana Bain. She's a healer and guide out of Somerville, Massachusetts. Hi, Ariana.
Hey, Carrie, how you doing today?
I'm doing so well. How are you?
Doing great, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. So, first of all, can you explain to us what it means to be a certified guide?
Sure. So I'm an energy healer and a spiritual guide. And what it means to be a certified guide is that I've gone through a really extensive process to both be trained and supervised and mentored in learning to be a guide for other people in their spiritual journey and their spiritual awakening. And so you can think of this a lot like being like a hiking guide or an adventure guide, which is that I can show you what the path is and I can provide you tools, a map, and ways of doing things and ways of traveling, but it's still up to each of my clients to explore that path for themselves if they want to actually go on an adventure and learn more about themselves as a spiritual being in addition to being a physical being.
Wow. All right. Well, I have so many questions. This is fascinating. But can you tell us like how you found your calling?
Sure. Yeah. So it's like my whole life, my goal has been to make the world a better place, essentially. And ever since I was a little kid, I've looked at the fact that we have a world filled with really, really good, beautiful people that at the same time seems to make a lot of terrible decisions when good, beautiful people get together and try to do something. It's like the world in general has been tending towards a lot of really rough things in recent years. And so something from a young age in me intuitively knew that the way to address this is going to involve some combination of spiritual work and doing something about the environment and the way that we treat people and the way that we treat humans. So it's like both how we treat ourselves and then also how we treat ecosystems and animals and plants and everything all around us. And so I spent a lot of my teen years and my 20 something years doing a combination of seeking a really good, like professional academic background. Like I got like a bachelor's and I got a master's of science from Yale in environmental science and sustainability and all that kind of stuff. And then on the other side, I kind of went on my own equivalent of like eat, pray, love kind of tour and, studied Zen Buddhism and shamanism and yoga in India. And I've been to the Himalayas a couple of times and, all of those things. So it's like have like the breadth of different experiences. And from there, I started a sustainability consulting company about 13 years ago now when I finished graduate school with the goal of making the world a better place. And a couple of years into that, I found the work that I do now, which is through the Modern Mystery School. And at the time, I already had a pretty good awareness of the blocks that I had, the things that were holding me back, but I didn't necessarily know like how to get past them. And so when I found the work that I practice now, I was really amazed, to be honest, in terms of how quickly it helped me move through the stuff that was holding me back and then help me go further beyond sort of healing the blocks into having a much greater impact in the world and being able to apply spiritual tools to my business and to being able to grow the consulting company that I had at the time and have a greater impact like with each of my clients, have greater projects that I was doing that had a bigger scope to them and be able to help the world more. So the more that I saw that, the more that I wanted to actually get trained to do this work, to be able to help other people in the same kind of way, because I really see it as like a missing link in terms of being able to create positive change in the world. So it's like this essential part of what has always been my calling is something that's like morphed over time into focusing on being a spiritual guide now, because I really see it as the greatest impact that I can have on the world in a positive sense.
It's quite the journey. It's really fascinating.
Thank you.
And what do you love most about what you do?
There's so many things that I love, but the thing that I love most is really seeing people actually shift, and there's a difference kind of between changing and shifting. And changing is this idea of like, okay, well, like Carrie, you come to me and I'm going to change you. It's like, no, I can't change anybody else. But what I can do is I can help people actually really let go of whatever the core stuff is that's holding them back so that they can make a better life for themselves and a better world for other people. And so it's incredibly rewarding to me when people come to me and I get to work with them over a period of time and really see those shifts of like first healing the fundamental stuff and then getting to step into a bigger impact. It's incredible.
It must be. Can you tell us a little bit about the lineage of King Solomon?
Sure. Yeah. So that is the ancient system of spiritual healing and training that's behind the work that I do. And it is a system that really helps people awaken to their own inner guidance and purpose from their soul and their spirit. And it's based on this idea that at the level of our soul and our spirit, we have like all the answers we could possibly need for our lives. But us here in the physical, we kind of struggle to get that guidance on a regular basis. Like most people feel pretty lost in life or pretty stuck in life. And so the system that we have within the lineage of King Solomon helps people remove those blocks that keep us from getting that higher guidance from our soul and our spirit, and be able to live as physical beings here on earth, connected to our soul and our spirit, rather than it being like, oh, well, like I'll kind of deal with that stuff after I die, or I'll deal with that stuff after I retire. It's like, no, we can actually have really meaningful lives here in the physical, in the present, by being connected to our soul and our spirit, and being really physical at the same time, like not trying to like escape it or anything like that. It's like integrating between them. And, we have some core principles within the lineage. And one of them is that it's all of us or none of us, and that all of humanity is going to have to figure this out together. And the other one is that our goal is world peace, which sounds entirely nuts based on the way that the world looks today. But, for anybody who is trying to create change in the world, it's like, that you have to have really big goals if you want to make change. And so it's a huge goal. It's a way beyond reach goal to want to have world peace. But at the same time, it is actually possible once you can start to name it and envision it.
And doesn't it really start inside each individual? I mean, if we can find peace in ourselves, wouldn't that somehow then expand to the whole world? Right?
Exactly. But how many people do you know who really have peace within themselves?
Yes, exactly. Which
And
is why you're doing such good work.
thank you. But that is what led me to doing this work, as opposed to focusing on sustainability consulting, is because the more I did sustainability consulting, the more I realized that we are in this game of, as humans, even when we focus on sustainability, we are trying to have a less bad impact rather than actually having a positive impact. And so the whole world of sustainability is mostly geared towards, if this is kind of like net neutral, it's geared towards down here of like, well, can we just get closer to having the less bad impact, rather than like, how do we actually have a positive impact? And this part, we've already had the science for that for a couple of decades, to be able to have a net positive impact with our economy, with our consumer goods, with our lives, and we don't do it.
Mm.
And a lot of what I see is that we don't do it because people don't have peace on the inside.
Right, right. And I noticed on your website that some of your testimonials, they ranged from clients who are CEOs, to healthcare professionals, all the way to energy healers, other energy healers. So that's pretty cool. And also, just wondering what your kind of ideal client might be.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I have worked with a really broad range of people, but they actually have really interesting unifying factors behind them. And so there's primarily like two types of people that I work with. And the first one is people who are mission driven entrepreneurs or leaders. So that can really span across any industry. Technically, it's people that really feel a deep call from like a mission level within themselves that they're trying to bring into the world, but they're getting hamstrung by things like anxiety, stress, and burnout. And they know that those are holding them back from having a deeper impact. So that's kind of one category of people I work with, is the mission driven people. And then the other category that I primarily focus on are people who are in recovery from trauma and addiction, and have already tried things like 12-step programs and inpatient programs and therapy and counseling, and know that they need more than that. So I end up having this really interesting breadth of people that come to me in terms of backgrounds, because as you probably know, addiction and trauma don't know boundaries in terms of professional backgrounds. And hopefully we get to a point where everyone in the world is mission driven.
Right.
really has purpose behind what they're doing.
Right.
So I really help people from both those groups create lives that they want to live in all the time, that inspire them to be present for their lives, that inspire them to be engaged and passionate and aware and in their lives every single day. So it's really an honor to be able to help like a wide breadth of people, but it does still ultimately like fit into those two categories really of mission driven or in recovery from trauma and addiction.
Okay. Thank you. What's something that most people don't know about you, Ariana?
Well, something people used to know about me if they knew me when I was younger, but most people don't now, is that I once aspired to be a professional pole vaulter. And pole
Wow.
vaulting is what got me into college. Not one of those bodunk schemes of pretending to be an athlete getting you into college, but like actually, I legitimately competed at a national level when I was in high school in pole vaulting, and that was really my only focus. I didn't pay too much attention to school at the time. It was, pole vaulting, and then, school was a very distant second to that.
Yeah, that's that's a fun fact. I love it. Anything exciting that you would like for customers to know about?
Sure. So I just opened a new healing and spiritual training center in Waltham. I'd been in Newton for the last 5 years and actually in Cambridge before that in 2014. So I'm really excited to be opening this new center. We just opened it in January, all new and renovated. And now, as
Great.
things are calming down from COVID, we're going to have all sorts of new public classes and meditations, full moon events, like all sorts of things like that. So, I'd love to see all of you there.
Great. What's the name of it?
It's called Modern Mystery School Boston.
Okay, great. And because you're a Somerville resident, can you tell me one or two things that you love or places that you love to go around your area?
Absolutely. Yeah. I love Somerville so much. I've lived here for, now since 2014. So I guess it's almost 8 years. And I just adore everything about it. I love being able to walk places. I live near Three Little Figs, which is such a great, cute little cafe. We tend to walk our dog either there or to Revival Cafe in Davis Square are two of our
Mm.
favorite places. And I just love being able to, do things like running errands by walking my dog places in the neighborhood, whether it's there or, going to Porter Exchange and running to the hardware store or anything like that. Those are all great, like local resources. And then I love that we're still close enough to places like the Middlesex Fells, where we can take our dog, for a hike in the woods. And it's only, like a 15-20 minute drive away. And so it's really nice to have that balance of like a really like urban walking feeling, but also be able to still, get out of the city really easily and not feel like you're like, can only be here.
Yeah, that's really special. I agree. Well, Ariana, thank you so much. And before we sign off, can you just let us know what's the best way to contact you?
Oh, sure. So the best way to contact me is you can go to my website, which is www.arianabain.com. So it's ARIANABAIN.com. And that's the easiest way to
Great.
contact me. I do free consultations with people. I get on the phone with you or do it in person, and we can always chat more about your interests and how that matches up with what I offer.
That sounds incredible. Thank you so much for your time today. This was so fun. And thank you all so much for watching. See you next time.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Mhm.